Hello, welcome back to the Sunday Serving Channel, where you come every week for words of hope and truth and inspiration from the gospel. And last time we talked about prayer. We're reading through the Sermon on the Mount. So today, we have an important word about fasting to begin with. Let me find it here. From Matthew chapter 6, starting at verse 16. Jesus said this, he said, "And when you fast, do not look gloomy like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces, that their fasting may be seen by others. Truly I say to you, they have received their rewards." So let's think about it. We have a nice setting here, an outdoor kitchen. It's a good place to talk about fasting. So fasting, nowadays, I guess, most people fast to try to lose weight, but in Jesus' time, fasting had a completely different meaning. Fasting was actually something that was required of the Jewish people to follow the law at least once a year, to show their obedience to God, to show their sincere apologies or making right what was wrong. And it was always associated with prayer, to fast and pray. And Jesus taught us to fast and pray so that we could really sincerely ask God to hear us. So Jesus isn't talking against fasting for the purpose of self-discipline or prayer. What he's talking about is don't make a show of it. Don't be a hypocrite. Don't do it just to impress others. Don't be hard on yourself and say, look here, look what I'm doing. So, in other words, it's good to fast and pray, to have self-discipline, to deny ourselves something, to be sincere, to really take things seriously, what is important in life. But do it quietly. Do it for God. Do it for your own heart's sake, not for sake of appearance for others, not to put on a show. And he goes on here, "But when you fast, anoint your head with oil and wash your face, that your fasting may not be seen by others, but by your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you." So that's interesting. Jesus says when you fast, you should put oil on your head, anoint your face, wash your face. I guess putting oil on your head, it wasn't some special ritualistic thing. It was actually part of daily life. It's what was used in those days for lotion. So I guess it's kind of like, put your makeup on, make your hair all pretty, meet me tonight in Atlantic City. It was kind of like, go about your normal day's work. Don't show off. Don't show to others that you're doing something special. Be yourself, be normal, go about your daily work, and pray. And deny yourself something for the sake of God. And then God, who knows everything, he knows everything that's in our hearts. He will know you're fasting. He will know you're praying. And that's what's important. So I think that's a great word about fasting and prayer. It's about hypocrisy. It's about the heart. It's about what's real. Do it for the sake of God. I love this next part, which we should talk about treasure. Where should our treasure be? Laying up our treasure in heaven. So Jesus goes on, "Do not lay up for yourselves treasure on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasure in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there is your heart also." I love that line. That line is something we should always think about and repeat to ourselves, to others. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. So laying up treasure in heaven versus here on earth. I mean, that's pretty obvious. What the eternal things that count shouldn't be material possessions, shouldn't be money. Okay, it should be treasure in heaven. What does that mean? That doesn't just mean paying a tithe to the church. I don't think that's what Jesus means, putting our money to some religious purpose, although that's part of it maybe, but it's more what we do every day. Laying up treasure in heaven is giving our heart, giving ourselves, giving our lives to others, taking it on ourselves to go the extra mile, to make sure that our neighbor has enough to eat or isn't lonely. We visit them. That's all. Putting treasure in heaven is spending time with others. It's loving others. It's caring. It's doing deeds. Sometimes that involves giving money or giving things if people need it. People are or in desperate times, we should help. So treasure in heaven is doing things for others for the sake of Christ, doing good, helping our neighbor, helping children, helping the poor, maybe even helping when we hear about a disaster in the world and trying to give some assistance to an organization that does help people in need. All those kinds of things are paying it forward to others. Can be very simple things. That's putting treasure in heaven, I think, and not here on the earth, not putting it in a bank. We all know that when someone dies, there's no armored cars following the hearses, so a treasure here on earth actually is useless to us in the long run. But what we do for others, what God sees, that treasure in heaven, that counts for eternity. So then Jesus goes on, he says, the eye is the lamp of the body. So if your eye is healthy, your whole body will be full of light. But if your eye is bad, your whole body will be full of darkness. If then the light in you is darkness, how great is the darkness? So that's interesting. He pivots to talking about an eye and light, eye being a lamp of the body. What eye do we see things with? Do we see things with a worldly or material eye? Again, it goes to what matters. Okay, are we just looking for what we can get out of something for ourselves, how rich we can get, how big our bank account is, how important we are, how famous we are, how many followers we have on social media? Is that what we're looking at? Or are we looking at the spiritual, with our spiritual eyes, what counts in God's eyes? Love, giving, understanding, compassion, okay, mercy. And if we have that spiritual eye, it fills our whole life with light, with joy. Light is joy and peace. So if we have the spiritual eye and we see things from God's point of view, from Jesus' point of view, there is light, there is joy. And if we don't, if we see it from a selfish point of view, there is darkness. And how great is the darkness? And then he ends this section with saying, no one can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money, or some translations, you cannot serve God and mammon. And that's so important that, what do we live by? Our rule, our master, our God. We can't have it both ways. We have to choose. Do we serve God above everything else, Jesus, or do we serve ourselves? Do we serve money? Do we serve mammon? So we can't live a divided life. One thing has to rule us, and that should be our faith in God, our decision to be a follower, to be a disciple. That should rule us. We all make mistakes. We all can do wrong things. That's not the point. We don't have to be perfect. But we need to decide who is our master. If God's our master, every day we should pray, today, God, help me to do these things. Help me to follow. Help me to give to others. Help me to be a joy to others, a peacemaker. And that's amazing. Then we have a master, and that is Christ. It's not money, it's not selfishness, it's not anything else self-willed, and we won't be a hypocrite. So remember that. Let's be followers of Christ. Let's have that one master. Let's forgive each other, and let's go out there and be a difference. So God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. Remy's looking for a way to make a joy to the frogs in that little pond.